armed conflict, mass migration, and uncertain futures. Every day, we hear of atrocities that violate international humanitarian law.
International humanitarian law is a body of international law that seeks to limit the effects of armed conflicts in two particular ways. The first way is by protecting persons who are not or no longer participating in hostilities and armed conflict, and the second way is by actually regulating the hostilities themselves.
The Canadian Red Cross aims to protect the dignity and lives of people affected by armed conflict by encouraging respect for international humanitarian law in Canada and around the world through IHL education, training, and humanitarian diplomacy and advocacy. Fortunately, only a minority of youth in Canada have experienced the horrors of armed conflict firsthand or indirectly through their wider family. Yet almost all youth are bombarded with images of violence, forced migration, and war crimes like no generation before them. Worrying survey trends reveal that many young Canadians feel the use of torture is acceptable in some circumstances, even when reminded that protections against torture are enshrined in international law. An equally disturbing number feel they will be directly affected by war in their lifetime and that international humanitarian law makes no real difference to human suffering. As a signatory to the Geneva Conventions and its additional protocols, Canada has an obligation to educate Canadians about the importance of protecting the dignity and lives of people affected by armed conflict. Canadian educators are encouraged to seize the opportunity to promote respect for humanitarian principles in the classroom. We are all responsible for being part of the solution. Yes, we are part of the problem, but we are also part of the solution, especially youth, because they are the ones who will insist and advocate that international humanitarian law be respected in those conflicts. The Canadian Red Cross works with teachers, school boards, and other components of the education system to help build youth awareness of the rules of armed conflict and related issues such as refugees, child soldiers, gender-based violence, torture, landmines, and attacks on civilians. Our in-person and online professional development training for educators equips teachers with the knowledge and skills to integrate critical thinking on humanitarian principles into a wide range of courses, including social and global studies, history, law, civics, religious studies, languages, and the arts.
The training is the best professional development I've ever received. It's in addition to teaching skills, it was the content that really struck me, and the guest speakers at the conference were phenomenal and were representatives of the Red Cross and were professionals in their field, and absolutely inspired me to be a better person.
I find actually the aha moment really comes in during parent night. When the parents sit down with me across the table and they're talking about their son and daughter being in my law class or my civics class and said, our dinner conversations have completely changed. We're now talking about world events and world issues and what's going on because of the conversations we're having in class.
Additionally, our powerful online learning resources like the Exploring Humanitarian Law Toolkit, Canada and Conflict, and forcedtofight.ca allows students to experience different perspectives of people living in situations of armed conflict around the world.
A lot of us wouldn't know maybe about all of these conflicts around the world, especially regarding children and genocides and wars and all that. And your game was just another way to broaden everyone's views on the world and different aspects of people's lives, and that how fortunate we are to live in Canada.
Respect for international humanitarian law and human rights law is more relevant than ever. We believe our ongoing engagement with teachers, students, and school boards across Canada will make an enormous difference, creating a culture of respect for human dignity in Canada's next generation of global citizens, leaders, and decision makers.
The more people are educated about this and even thinking and asking the right questions, that's when change can happen.